See, all meetings of the select board are meetings in the public, not of the public. If you can't hear me. Members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking and state their name for the record. I'm going to call the meeting to order, approve and or edit the agenda.
Motion to approve is written.
Second.
All in favor?
So just remember, you need to speak into your mic or shut Dave's off. I'm not sure what Jordan's gonna put you on a 10-second delay, Dave, I think. No, I said, I think he's not.
He's not coming.
No. That's right.
Oh, I thought it was.
Oh, wait, Chris Rivet,
Chris
maybe.
is coming.
Can't see Ben or Jed. Well, they're here, Paul. I don't know. I have turned it just so you could see Denise and stuff, but it's. Finn, can
Somebody's coming in.
Finn's gonna flag him so you can see him. There you go. All right, hey, Paul's like, he's waving,
This might be him now.
maybe. He's online. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Hi. So Chris Rivet of Du Bois and King is on Zoom tonight. And we were talking about, as you know, we've been talking about doing the project for Falcon Drive. And that we applied for a grant, which we received. And part of the grant is that the select board needs to adopt or approve the purpose and need statement. And then we have to have a vote for an alternative on the books, right, Chris?
That's correct.
Yeah. So just a reminder, we received a $220,380 grant. Our match is just over 55,000. We based our design on the most direct design for us in our stormwater master plan that was created for us about 4 years ago by Du Bois and King when we were doing the Better Connections grant. So the alternatives, Chris can explain to you better than I, but one alternative is doing nothing. So obviously that's not an option. One is doing the option that AJ, Richard, and I want to do, and the other one's a little bit different version. And we obviously need to do this to satisfy the requirements of the grant, but Chris Rivet can explain the difference between the options and certainly answer any engineering questions you may have.
Right. So yeah, the alternative that ultimately I think Kirby and others would like to go with is an alternative to replace the swale along Falcon Drive, just uphill of an existing culvert that goes underneath the roadway, and in turn create a new storm sewer system along Falcon Drive. So it would be kind of right down the center of it, and we would tie into the existing storm sewer main along North Main Street. And that we believe we have a little bit more investigating to do, but we believe that will bypass what currently happens, which water right now goes down below Falcon Drive along North Main Street and is discharged onto the Bethel Mills property before it goes out to the river. With the alternative 2 we've created, it will allow us to bypass that, we think, or at least the majority of it. We have a little bit of investigation on that far end just to confirm that assumption. The third alternative is actually replacing in kind what there is already. We'd probably upgrade the piping and everything, but essentially it would be replacing it in the configuration it is now. So it goes down under Falcon Drive, right adjacent to North Main Street, along North Main Street, and then across the roadway. There would be some improvements to piping size. I think right now it's probably a 12-inch culvert that comes out there. We'd probably upsize that to, 15 or 18 to help water flow a little bit better. But that comes with quite a few restrictions or design concerns, I would say. From the town's perspective, the alternative 3, replacing as is, comes with, would require probably easements because those go through private property. Um, both for the neighbor that's just below Falcon Drive and for Bethel Mills, to be able to construct there. Also, if we're digging through Falcon Drive, the slopes right along that section of it, just above Main Street, are very steep there. So disturbing those would make it a lot harder to put back, where they would have to be engineered in a way that's probably a bit more expensive and more than I want to do, to be honest.
Yeah, and we didn't have any desire to increase the stormwater discharge on to Bethel Mills because I believe they're
Yes.
gonna have their own issues adhering to the state permitting, right? Isn't there like a 3 acre about impervious surface and?
They look likely to be subject to 3 acre stormwater
Yeah.
discharge permitting
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
we
few
don't
years
wanna-
down the road, but
Yeah, but that's nothing we don't want to add to Lang's issues, for sure.
yeah. So the advantage of the alternative that we do want to go with is it stays within the town's right of ways. We're not disturbing those slopes. We're staying within the roadway, so we can go along there. And again, we'll just take some of that water that's already going to Bethel Mills and taking it off of their property for the future. So those are the big advantages that we see with that alternative.
The other bonus of that is we'll see some paving on Falcon Drive, which is rough. We have
Yes.
a structure there, so to say, so there'll be something, we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do there, so. But obviously alternative 2 is the alternative that we're looking for, and AJ and Richard have gone out as well with their camera system to check it all out, and this was a project that's, like I said, we've been talking about for like 4 years, and we finally got grant money to do it, so.
I don't see where it ends as far as getting to the river. Both of these pictures show it, this one shows it ending right on Bethel Mills property, looks like, and the other one, it stops in the middle of the road right by the Bethel Mills generator. So I don't see where it's going to end up.
Well, it's gonna end up connecting into the North Main drain, which eventually goes down into the river, by Bethel Mills, but the
Yes.
drawing is only so far. It doesn't show all the way. Isn't that correct, Chris? It's gonna keep going to North Main.
That's
and
correct.
Meadow.
Yeah,
into-
that's correct.
And that's
The drain
that's
piping
this
that
drawing. I
is
don't, they're not labeled, they're labeled 1 and 1. So
And
I don't know which was which.
And that's existing, that
Oh,
we're gonna
there-
connect into as our.
There's nothing here that tells me 2 and 3.
there should be a name on it.
Yeah.
Just midway up, it says alternative 2 and alternative number 3, but midway up the title block,
Yeah, right here.
maybe a third of the way up from the
Right
bottom.
here, under it's under sheet title. It's very tiny.
No, it's number 3.
Yeah.
All right. These eyes don't see those.
No, I know. I had,
That well.
well, I have blown up ones. So yeah. So it would connect into the existing North Main Street, Dave, and then keep going.
Now that I can see the who's what.
Okay. So did anybody have any additional questions for Chris?
When's the build date? If we get to do this?
I think that we're gonna go out to bid in the spring, hopefully, right? Spring, summer. This is one of those grants that can take a minute, but what's your,
I think it's more likely 2027.
yeah, because we have to
because-
go through, because we have to go through NEWA and all that.
Yeah, so after this process, we're going to put together let's call it a conceptual set of plans by the VTrans standard, and go out and do all our environmental work, natural resources reviews. We've already done our surveying actually, and we have to put together a document that will allow VTrans and the Federal Highway to review this project for you know, any issues or concerns with affecting natural resources. We don't think this is going to be an issue. It's going to be a categorical exclusion. The problem is that process, just because it is so prescriptive, from the time we submit the NEPA documentation, it takes about 6 months to get back. So that's the biggest chunk of time to hear back from them. And then it can be, a few months after that, we can go through the other steps of 60%, 85% designs, until we can get to bid plans. And each step adds a little bit more to the design.
It will be a busy 27. Yeah. So, remember they're looking for wetlands and bats, right? The long ear.
Wetlands and bats, there's a few other considerations as well, but I don't anticipate us really finding anything. It's just something that we have to do with every project.
Yeah. So what we are looking for is a motion to adopt the purpose and need statement and proceed with alternative 2. Can it be, do you care if it's just one motion, Chris?
It can be one motion.
Okay.
Ask, the grant money, is just, is that covering the cost of the project, or that's, we burn that and then give back what we don't use, or?
Oh, we'll burn it. We'll use it all. And the match is the 55,000, which I already have set aside in our capital road budget.
There could be more expense.
Hopefully not, but if it is, depends what it is, whether or not we supplement it out of the general fund budget, like just depending what it is. We have like right now, I believe in this budget, we have $6,000 set aside for stormwater. So if we don't use that, I will move it into that grant to help with our match. Same thing with next year. Any money like that we'll use to offset the match, but it is set aside currently in that capital road plan.
We shouldn't have to make projects anymore. We put sewer through there not that long ago. So
Yeah.
we pretty much know what the digging is.
And we know that it's clay tile, so we know the minute we touch it, it's all gonna collapse, it's all gonna fall apart. So we know that as well. So it's
Option 1, we don't spend anything, right?
right, which it's affecting, a lot of it is collapsed and there's a house right next door, or in one of them, the house is there.
I'm not suggesting we do it.
No, and it's a problem.
What's the difference between option 2 and 3? That I get the sort of the impact on the neighborhood and everything, but is there a difference in the cost, or?
I don't know what the difference in the cost is, but one of the things that the state changed.
I don't
is-
have that yet.
we don't have that yet, but one of the things about the state now is we have to manage our own stormwater. So I can't put more stormwater on Lang's property without Lang's permission, just like we can't put a new culvert in somewhere and start dumping water on your property without your permission. And because he's already going to be affected by the other state law that's coming down the pike, I don't think he's going to be any floods as it is, just like the rest of us. So it seems like the most logical option because it allows us to manage our own and go into our existing stormwater system. So the grant's the grant, the match is the match. So as long as we're managing that right, and we don't think there'll be any major surprises. And the other thing too is down the road, if it became something, we can apply for additional funding if needed. So.
Option 3 requires easements, which is time.
That is time, and we've just been through that recently with the sidewalk project, and it is difficult, and it's not cheap either,
On that road.
Falcon Drive.
There's not a lot of room.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room. No, you're right there.
No.
And so so this had been an option that was in play for a while, and
Looks like there is no.
yeah.
There's one option, for the
Yeah.
sake of having some discussion.
That's it.
We're just picking them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the grant is that you have to be presented with 3 options, and option 1 is always do nothing, which why would we apply for the grant, so, and the good news is too, Du Bois and King was the engineer that did the stormwater master plan, and they're also the one who won the bid, and we negotiated them down a little bit on their price. So there's a continuity there, which is helpful.
So the motion has to be,
So the motion is to adopt the purpose and need statement for Falcon Drive and to move forward with alternative number 2.
so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chris. I hope you have a nice holiday.
You're welcome. Happy holidays to you all as well.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Chris. All right, we are now moving on to public comment.
I have something to say for the record.
Joanne, can you stand up and do the,
No, I can stand. Well, I just want to say thank you. I did see the sheriffs have been up on Camp Brook a little bit. We saw some tickets wrote, 60 and a 40. I read someplace on social media that Camp Brook isn't properly marked. I can tell you from riding it, it is properly marked. It's 40 after every intersection there where it should be. The yellow cautionary signs for curves seem to be all in place. When I read the agenda, I read the select board packet. I wasn't happy to see the shortened version of just the tickets this last week. Like I stated, the last meeting I came, I saw where they were setting, where we had 3 of them on a Monday night, when I said we don't need 3 on a Monday night. I would still like to see that version that was put in the packet before. And I would definitely like to see continued presence up on Camp Brook, because after those few tickets, I haven't seen them any place really up on the brook. And I'd also question whether they know what road they're setting on. That's all I'm gonna say.
Joanne, so the thing that was in the packet this time
Yep.
was because they had not included it in November's and the last time. So when I wrote to the sheriff, just said, hey, you're missing a page.
Okay.
This is what he sent me. So,
Okay, so then we didn't have anything this
No,
week
no.
for the last couple weeks.
right, because it was in the packet before. I think we received October's and we received,
So we just. get a monthly
November's.
one.
yeah, it was in, I think, last week's packet. I think everything was in there except the ticket. So when I emailed them and said, hey, we're missing a page, that's what he sent.
Very good.
And it's not what he normally sends, so I assume he was just doing it on the
Yeah,
fly.
okay. I just like to look and see what days they were working.
Yep, no,
So-
you're not alone. A
Okay,
lot of people
thank you.
do. Welcome.
anyone else for public comment?
Paul's waving. Hi, Paul. And Lisa might be too.
Hi,
Hi,
Paul.
can you hear me?
Yep,
Good volume.
yep.
Hey, first, happy holidays to all you folks. Appreciate the hard work that you put in.
Thanks, Paul.
I'll keep it quick. I would ask again, I would encourage I don't know if anybody's there from the food shelf or the library to consider decreasing their ask by a significant amount to try to help with the tax burden of the taxpayers here in Bethel, not only the elderly fixed income folks, but the folks who are just in low paying jobs, who are struggling to make ends meet. As far as the policing goes, I would like to suggest once again that alternative A, level fund it the way it is, or B, which is even better, take a couple hours off, which would save $7,800 to the taxpayers. I've pulled all the reports going back to July when the increase in the hours started, and there's always something missing, and there's no significant evidence that it's really had a tremendous impact to justify the large increase in the dollars that we put into doing that. And number 3, I have to voice my opposition to the parking reconfiguration on Main Street. I'm up and down through there quite a bit. Right now, there's a natural pinch point there that slows down traffic. People see an oil truck coming or a Bethel Most truck coming, and they slow down. They pull over. Everybody behaves. Nobody wants to be in an accident. And it's a natural pinch point. And I think, and I'm there early in the morning sometimes at 7:30, 8 o'clock when there's nobody parked there. And the speed of the people coming up through the town is just ridiculous. because there's no reason for them to slow down. So those are my comments. I'm also available if you have any questions about the Human Service Board sheet that's in your packet this week. If you have any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you.
Paul, I just have a quick question. Did you see the drawing that was in the packet that Du Bois and King just did showing parking
Yes, I did.
in front of the laundromat? And so you saw that?
Yep.
Okay, that was in your,
But the lanes and parking are illegal right now.
yeah,
They're not
in this drawing,
legal. They are in that drawing.
right? They moved the
As of
lane.
right now on Main Street,
They're not.
lanes and parking, not up to code.
Right, so this shows the 11-foot lane versus a 12, which is a little narrower than we did last time. And this shows, 2 parking spots in front of the laundromat, and you can say, I put a note there that shows, this shows 20 legal parking spots. And I noticed in his note, there's a possibility of adding 5 more with his alignment change, but I think that's later on the agenda. But I just want to make sure you saw
Yeah,
it.
no, I did see that, but I'm
Okay,
curious,
good.
if you put 2 spots in front of the laundromat and it's not legal right now, how does it become legal then?
It becomes legal because we're changing the center line. We're removing the center line to give
Oh.
11-foot lanes. So
Okay.
that's how.
And I think, saying there's 5 parking spots without any kind of lineage to identify those spots.
No, they would
It's a
be.
wide open area that people will pull into willy-nilly, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I
Uh,
think that if you look at the drawing, you can see where they have hash marks, where the parking space. Because currently we just have a white line and people park behind the white line. But
mhm.
you could see in his drawing that he has, hash marks cut out to let you know exactly where the spaces are.
Well, I
Okay.
thought I was
on the
under the
website.
impression that we couldn't line
Oh,
it
yeah.
because it wasn't legal.
Yeah.
The road width wasn't legal. I don't want to take up your time discussing that right now. I
Yeah.
know you got a lot of stuff to do.
All right. So I just wanted to make sure you saw the drawing.
I
so.
did. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
Lisa has her hand up.
Lisa?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if my question should come now or later when you're doing the budget, but I do have a question about how the percentage of the 10% cut to the library in the Bethel food shelf translates to specific dollars for the average taxpayer. I remember in years past, you've said things like, for the, somebody who owns a $200,000 home, it would be this amount of
I haven't
difference.
done that.
So I don't know if that's now or if it's later, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss my moment.
Okay, no, you're fine, Lisa. I haven't done the math to tell you that.
Okay.
And this was just a conversation with a couple of select board members. So once we get into the budget, they'll be able to make their determinations there. So, but I have not done the math to calculate how many on the tax rate. So,
Okay, so, but it'll be possible to get those numbers later?
oh, absolutely. You
Okay.
betcha.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Public comment?
Someone's gonna stand up.
Owen, did you have your hand
Yeah.
up? Oh, okay, I see. Oh, I was looking at work media.
Vicky?
Hey, hi. I was just wondering what the timeline is on budget stuff. Like if there's a call to the community to let us know what they think about some of the items that Paul just referenced, the police budget, etc. Can you just share what the process looks like and when the last date of when you all are going to approve a budget is?
I'm hoping the select board approves it today. We've been talking about it for a while because we need to get the budget set so that we can move forward doing the warning and printing town report. So we have to have the warning signed by a specific date in January, which is in the 20s, I think. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm hoping that the select board will adopt the budget tonight. So since we've been talking about it for a while and it's the same time every year, so and don't forget, Owen, everybody gets their say on town meeting day. This is just the select board will put forward their budget. And then of course, people can vote from the floor, vote items that are existing,
Okay.
and change those numbers. So,
Okay. I think I'm sure you all have heard things since the Herald did a cover story about the lane change. But I just wanted to let folks know that I am definitely hearing just from people in the town coming into the bar that I haven't heard anybody saying that they think it's a great idea. And there's a lot of concern that having less parking will be an issue if we're not adding any new parking, and also concern, kind of like what Paul shared, that if we have more room for people to drive quickly, they will take advantage of that, and that there's an issue with speeding on Main Street already, and people are concerned it's just going to increase that issue. So I just wanted to share that here. I know that there's some of the legality issues with the lane change, but there's been a lot of buzz about it over the weekend in the bar.
Yeah,
So,
we've heard it too, good and bad. You know, people that have gone. One lady who went to Babes and came out and her mirror was missing. She's all for it. So
Yeah.
definitely, it's one of those situations where everybody is going to have an opinion, and in the end, the select board will just make a decision based on what they feel is right, obviously with input from the engineers and from the state of Vermont, and go from there. And you know, nobody likes change despite it being the one constant, right, Owen? So we'll see what happens. But at this point, no decisions are made, and the decision is not going to be made on that tonight. We're just keeping it on the agenda for public input.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, y'all. Happy holidays.
Thanks. Happy holidays
Owen.
to you, Owen.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole lane change thing came about, what was it, 3 years ago?
4 years ago, maybe, with
2021, 22.
when we did the better connections, that was something that required a bunch of public input, and you can see there was an article on the Herald. I did an interview with Mary Ellen Applequist about it. So again, Jordan had just asked, and it made sense to just leave it on the agenda take public input, and they're not prepared to make a decision. So what we have right now is just is a draft that Du Bois and King did, showing legally marked parking, adding parking in front of the laundromat. And but this is just one iteration. I also see on his note, he's mentioned that there may be an opportunity to put like 5 more spaces there. So it's we're just hearing, you know, taking input. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know yet, because we didn't truly have any like legal parking spaces really on Main Street that were drawn in. We just have a white line, everybody parks behind it, but I'd have to go back through the study and see. And like I said, we're only in the first iteration of the drawing. So if we can add 5 more spaces, then we could do a count and see.
Did we hear back from Nostoma?
I looked at the deed, and they were deeded when it was Green Mountain Bank. They have 10 spaces in their deed.
I think they got 12 signs out there counting today.
I counted.
It'll take like 6.
Well, the other thing too, I was thinking about.
During bank hours or
Well,
something.
that's what I was thinking about, is if we could add a sign. I'm sure they would let us add a sign to the bottom that would
From
say,
9 to.
do only when the bank is open or whatever.
They don't open until 10.
Or whatever. So we can,
10
but
to 4, I
they do have legally 10 spots are theirs, and that was in the deed. But I think that they would probably be, if we obviously made the signs and stuff, I'm sure they would. So
And after hours.
yeah, that's a conversation. So
You can come
Oh,
up
yeah.
to the microphone.
Yeah, Crowley, concerning the parking, I see it's later on the agenda, but if we're talking about it, and Teresa, I keep hearing you reference a white line that people park behind.
it's probably so faded.
Well, and that's what Dave had mentioned, previously, was that these lines haven't been redrawn.
I'm going to ask that you move closer to the mic. You have a gentleman in the back who, by request.
Sorry. Okay, so as I was saying, yeah, thank you. The white lines that haven't been redrawn.
Okay.
And that seems like a really cost-effective way to kind of really make known where those spots would be. And I don't understand how, of course, I'm not an engineer, but how you have a specific space. And if you have those 2 parking spots right in front of the laundromat, how does that make it a legal spot where it's, there'd be parking on the other side?
I think that
Parking where it exists.
there would not be parking on the other side, right
So
there.
you're proposing cutting off parking in front of Cockadoodle as well?
In this iteration, yes.
Okay, but that's not something that's been mentioned before. You've only ever specified one side of the street.
Right, exactly. And this just came out. That's why it's still on the agenda.
And is that, I'm sorry, and is that only for you or is that?
No, it's on the website.
Oh.
It's on the website as part of the select board packet, and it's a separate link or separate listed on there.
Okay.
So we just were provided this by Du Bois and King because of this issue.
Okay.
We were saying, look, you know what? People are having a really hard time with the thought of removing parking on one side. I said, the owners of the laundromat, we talked about the drop zone, how we didn't, people weren't sure that was really going to work well for them. So Du Bois and King, luckily, it's not being paid by us. They're being paid by the state. And they said, hey, would it help if we did an iteration for you of what it could look like? And then he has a note on there for 5 additional spaces. So this is just something that came out. So everybody can see it. Yes. And it's certainly no decisions are going to be made right today. It was just, we're just kind of taking public input and seeing
Yeah,
what's
but
what.
I'm just trying to understand. And hopefully, like Dave had some great suggestions and
Yeah.
lines being drawn and slowing down traffic through downtown Bethel would be incredibly helpful for,
Right.
on so many different counts, but
Oh, sure.
I'm sure we'll just.
And I think part of it is, the part that we had been talking about was there's what they call MUTCD standards, which are municipal uniform traffic control device standards. And obviously the state is looking for us to start adhering to that, which we currently do not by allow parking on both sides of the street. And our lane widths are a little funky. So we did look originally at 12-foot lanes with 8-foot parking. And then, it seems it was a little wide. So in this iteration of the drawing, they're 11-foot, which kind of narrows them up a little bit. So they're not that feeling of a big speedway. So the state is encouraging us to adopt one that is MUTCD compliant, for lack of a better word, but maybe we haven't found the right mix yet. So we're still just trying to take everybody's concerns in and work them out. You're welcome. Gonna call. Mhm.
Yep. You can state your name for us. That'd be great.
Robert Geikel. To start with, I want to let you know that I was asked to come to this meeting to act like a guinea pig. Because I have mentioned over the years, I'm 84 years old now, that it's very, very hard to hear in this building and the White Church. And Dave Eddy asked me if I would come down to see what you have improved. And it's a major, major difference. And when Joanne got up here and she was back here, you couldn't hear anything. But you really have to be up with the speaker, and it's much better what you guys are doing. The second thing is the parking downtown. I am totally against removing the parking places. It will do nothing but increase the speed down there. It's very dangerous if you just go down and spend a little bit of time to see the vehicles go through. And also I'm concerned about the businesses. The people that have to lug stuff in and out of the laundromat, they need parking spots there. The trucks that are unloading the supplies for all the businesses, they need to be down there. And when they are, and it's congested, when Merrill was down there, the speed actually did decrease through there. And I would also like to add, I've mentioned it, Therese, and she's really been helpful, to have some sort of a blinking light in Midtown, over by Cockadoodle in that area. Because yellow lights like the pedestrian crossing that you guys are going to be putting in, the new lights, what are you doing? You're making a blinking light to get people's attention. And that's why I think if there's some way we could get something else in there permanently to just wake people up when they're thinking about different things going through town. And third, but not last, the police reports the last 2 months. I have got reports from Therese and I could see an improvement. But in just reviewing them, they're over by the school and the GW Plastic and down in front of the town hall or the town office most of the time. But this last month, I saw that they were in other parts of the town. And I want to thank you, especially Therese, for working on that and communicating with the police department. Pardon?
No, that's Jordan. That's Jordan. Jordan deals with the cops.
Well, Trish
He's
does
the one,
too.
but he's
Trish
the one.
talks to them in person and.
Jordan is good.
I see an improvement, and if I could visit with you sometime, I got some other comments and stuff, but I won't take any more time. So the system is much, much better here now. Thank you.
Yes, Jordan is the gentleman I mentioned to you today when I said Jordan Garrow. That's who he is.
Pleased to meet you.
I'd piggyback on the last thing that, I guess we could talk more about it in the budget, but you know, there's things that happen in town that don't make it to the paperwork. They don't make it to the agenda. They're working on things that they're not going to air out on our select board budget that is happening in town, but they can't publicly release it because of the effects it would have on their investigations. So there's other work being done, but they can't share it public.
Okay.
And that would be something I'd encourage people to be aware of.
Well, the thing that
Makes
I
sense.
personally disagree with is out on the interstate picking up people.
That was a governor's safety grant. So that was from the state. It just happened to be in our paperwork is what I'm
Okay.
being told.
And that's what we talked about today. Remember when I was telling you about Click It or Ticket, that Governor Highway Safety Grant? Sometimes people see Royalton or other places here and we get that extra money for Click It or Ticket.
So the state of Vermont wants to see them working areas and not, you know,
Yeah.
logging all their hours for Click It or Ticket, so that, you know, running radar in Bethel.
We're not paying.
Moving on.
No.
No.
Right.
That is paid by the state.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your help.
Well,
Do they still get points for equipment, towards equipment? They used to get cash, but now do they get points towards equipment for participate? I mean, they get a benefit for participating, which is helpful. But
Oh.
we get a benefit, but they get some too. So that's cool.
Is there any more public comment? All right, we will, we are now choosing the art for the cover of the town report for Bethel residents. Kids grades 6, 7, and 8 submitted some pictures.
Yep, so Jordan has them. So you've seen them, artwork, and they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I just need you to write down their favorite and then pass it to me. And the one who gets the most votes will be on the cover of Town Report. So we thank everybody who participated. That's great. And we appreciate that. And then I know Dietrich ran the contest, and then I know next year she's going to try different age levels. So trying to get more, you know, people involved. So. All right, so I have, all right, so what do we got? I have 3, 4.
Shuffle them around.
Thank you. All right, and I will give that back to Dietrich and she'll deal with that. So thank you.
All right. And now we're on to the 2026-27 general budget discussion.
I just look on with you. I gave Jordan, so that way, that's fine. I don't care. So I think that a couple things that we talked about last time, I can just give a recap, is the local revenues didn't change. That's the same. One of the things that I did change was I decreased the amount going into capital building by half of the amount for the transfer station. So about 25,000 this year, 25,000 next year to offset that loss, because we have 330,000 in the capital building plan. So that's a good place to, you know, to talk about. The other thing that I did do was I just left the police at a level funded spot. And so you guys can have that conversation. The other thing was I met with Denise and Dave Eddy to kind of get some information about just without having a quorum, but to help with some budget stuff. And we got Paul's committee list. Human Services Advisory Board came in and they were up, 9,000 and $600 over last year, which was a surprise. So there's that. And then one of the conversations that Denise and David talked about was, the possibility of reducing the Bethel food shelf and the library by 10%. And then Denise was curious about maybe reducing all appropriations except for Warva and the South Royalton Senior Center by 10%. So I think what you need to hammer out tonight is what you want to do with police and what you want to do with human services. And Bethel Food Shelf gave you information, so that was in their packet as well, so.
Yeah, there's information in there, but I didn't find it all that helpful. And actually it hurt them in my eyes. They told about all the money they get from here and there, and they want to keep a whole year in the bank ahead of time. I wish I could do that.
Mhm.
But, and I understand, but I'm just thinking, asking for that little bit of cut, I don't think we're asking for a whole lot when they consider what they have available to them.
And I know in our conversation that you'd wanted to cut more. I think it originally started at, 5,000. So I'm not how you want to facilitate this. Do you want to just go
I mean,
human services
roughly,
by human services, or what would you like to do?
I have a question about what Denise wants to do with this paper.
Okay.
Because there are increases and there are people that are level funding. And are you talking about 10% cut on those, everybody that wants a increase? You're gonna leave alone those people that are level funded? Or just everybody 10%?
I was thinking everybody 10% because the food shelf in the library is level funded compared to last year. And cutting them 10%. And I believe Joanne contacted Trees today, am I correct? And you're withdrawing your $500 for the Historical Society. They decided that they have enough, and so they're just pulling that $500 out. My thoughts on cutting that is, like I said, we were thinking of cutting the food bank and the library 10%. So it seems like every year, and like you said, Dave, some of these are level funded from before. I got all my papers here. And now,
Did you put it over there? Oh, there it is.
yeah, I had another one where I put brand new numbers on because I was looking at one from a couple of years ago, and it was the Human Resources Services proposal 2 years ago was 14,000 and change.
Here. Is
And
this
then
your-
it went up
Oh, that's
more, and it seems like every year or so, we get either people want more money or we get new people coming in, and it's just like not even a revolving door. It's just people coming in that want more money or want money to begin with. And here it is. There's got to be a time where we have to slow this down, because in the 2024 proposal, it was 14,965. Now, 2 years later, we're up to $25,565. And at this rate, next year, we could probably be close to 32,000. So I'm just, 2 years ago, some things were 650. Now they're 2,000. Claire Martin is still the same. Bethel Youth Sports is new. Playhouse is new a couple of years. And some have dropped out. The art bus, they get funded by the school. So I'm not sure why they're asking us for money, because the school pays for that. So however you folks want to do it, if you want to do the new people, or if you want to do it so the people that are level funded, stay the way they are, but then, you know, we're gonna have the library and the food shelf saying, well, you ought to level fund us, although it's a mighty big ask for them, from them compared to the others. I'm just looking at the budget. Like Tree said, next year we don't get our 55,000 from the transfer station, and we need to start reining in some of these asks that we're getting, because it's getting a little bit out of hand in my book.
Well, I would ask, what's the difference between Tri-Valley Transit and visiting nurses? I mean, they're coming to service people that have health issues. My question was differentiating the Visiting Nurses Association and Tri-Valley Transit. In my book, almost visiting nurses would be above Tri-Valley Transit. And we're not going to cut Tri-Valley Transit.
They're in there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think they were gonna be cut, but that's fine. It's okay.
No, I'm
Not
just
my-
wondering. I'm wondering where we draw the line and what we're gonna just 10% across the board for everybody.
And that would probably be the fair way to do it, but if you're gonna do it,
But there's some of these people that don't have a year's worth of money to survive. There's people on here that are asking to be level funded and, you know, are still fundraising more than half of their funds.
and maybe that's a question for Paul, because the trick here is you only see the financials for Warva, Tri-Valley Transit, the food shelf, and the library. What you don't see are the other groups. So Paul is online, and maybe he can give you some insight as to, you know, what the financials for the others look like. Because we haven't seen them.
No, we don't see any of those. All we see is what we get in this paper.
And that's what they do. Human Services goes through. So
That's their shtick.
Yeah, I can speak to that if you'd like. The $14,000 figure that Denise mentioned, if you look at the year previous to that, the number was closer to 26 or 27,000. It dropped to 14 because we pulled out Tri-Valley Transit and the South Royalton Senior Center and put them on as separate article items. So that's the reason why it dropped to 14. This year we had 3 new applicants that you can see. We have one applicant that jumped significantly because they went to a different model for deciding how much their per client price was. So that was a big increase. I think it went from 500 to 2,000 maybe. Most of the other ones that are asking for level funding, they're not really looking for that money to sustain their nonprofit. They're looking to use that money to get other grant money. They can show that the town of Bethel supports them with, you know, $500 or whatever, but they can use that money to leverage other grant money. So we go through all that financial information is available in the binder at the front office there. Alice has it right there. And we go through all the financials. We look at everything before we make a decision. Well, before the committee makes a decision. I should qualify that. We don't try to look and see who's more deserving or not deserving. We try to keep neutral and just look at each application, you know, on its own merit. So we don't try to balance one like Tri-Valley against Bethel Youth Sports or visiting nurse, or we try to look at each one independently. And since we don't have a target number, we've never been given a target number to use for a total amount. We just got to go through each one and discuss the merits of it and then move it along.
that is something you do, is give them a target number, but.
Well, I think next year there's going to be a significant change. There has to be a change, I think, in that whole process.
Yeah.
It started out back in the 80s with only 3 applicants. And now it's grown to a dozen or more. So I think that there's a lot of logistics involved in it. There's people that we have to chase for information that don't give us what we need when we need it. And it feels like we're chasing people to give them money. And that's just not reason why the committee was put together way back in the 80s. So I think you're going to see I'm going to suggest some significant changes this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
So Denise's, it was an idea, but I mean, it doesn't, you had to fly, it was just a suggestion, right? So obviously there seemed to be some sort of consensus about, I'm assuming, the food shelf in the library.
Shelf, the library, I'm on, like I said, after reading the financials there. And while we got a good, she's not, Lisa, she's on, yeah.
Lisa's online.
Yeah.
Her conversation was good, but also it was the feeling that, you know, we're financing their endowment and okay, but so we're going to ask you for, just give us a little bit back, but take a little bit less this year. Who knows what next year's going to bring, but we're going to need some help. I budget complete. I don't have a problem with the human services myself.
Okay.
I would vote to keep it as printed. The only other one, and you've heard me speak before, I am very much in favor of increasing the budget for the sheriff's department minimum, but something. I believe we need to work, or I would have liked the 40 hours. 40 hours give us some full-time service in town. We want them around, Jordan's working to give them more information about what we want. I think we're getting more of what we want, and I'm sure it's going to be an ongoing thing. But I would like to, I'm definitely not agree to vote for a decrease.
So do you want to stick to the appropriations and just make those decisions first? So cover appropriations and then cover policing? That way kind of.
First hearing before we move on to the next
Right.
line item. Yeah, that is fine. We talk about appropriations first.
So human services.
Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. So it sounds like, so Dave's all for leaving the human service ads are except for food shelf in the library.
I think it brings another light to it with Paul telling you about the numbers. The $14,000 was after we took two big hitters out. So that 14,000 really is not a good number to work with.
Right.
It was 27,000 the year
Yeah.
before. And this, if you look at this is 25.5, so this is a lower number than what we had been spending 2 years ago.
And I think too, what you or somebody had mentioned was just really some of the bigger hitters doing more fundraising on their own.
Right. Grant writing, fundraiser, capital. Ask,
Planning.
business asks.
Mhm.
How many people have on the human services board?
Currently, I think it's Paul Valley, Bennett Law, Sue Burgos, Scott Putney, and Stan Capron. Five. Paul's giving me the nod. But looks like we're waiting for Ben. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just trying to say, because one thing Paul said stuck with me, right? He's asking the food shelf and the library to reduce their budgets, but he's asking for 1% increase, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then he also said that they're chasing people to get the money. That makes me really uncomfortable. I don't think we need to find that people. And it's not that I don't have, it's not that I don't care about these causes. It's just, I think we should be super laser focused on town infrastructure, basic service for taxpayers and not, these human services are nice, but we should be moved to give individually towards these things rather than compelling people through threat of Taxes.
Right.
Taxes are compulsory. You don't get a choice. You can pay them or you take the property. Just,
Yeah.
exaggeration, but that's the end goal, right?
It is.
So I'm really concerned, death by 1,000 cuts, these are all small numbers, but we're hearing what have been added to the list. I think it would be really a shock to cut everybody 10%. I think that we also have to be pragmatic, it's like saying, oh, we're not gonna do this anymore, and 10% is not the whole budget, but I would agree to, yes, we're gonna lose the money from the transfer station. We gotta figure out how we'll make up for that. I think that we can all cooperate maybe and find a way to gradually start backing this up. And it's not 10% this year, but maybe we work towards 10% over 2 years or 3 years. Maybe in 5 years, we're up to 20%, but that gives some of these people time to react to the fact that they don't want to stay.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there as a starting point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the way
So,
this is written is 2% and 2.25 if we go to 38 hours, at least 5. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're lower than 3%, which is, I don't know many towns around us that are hitting 3% over and over and over and over and
Yeah.
over again. And we do.
Yeah.
And we have.
Yeah.
And now we're up.
Yeah, because over the years and years anyway, since Teresa's been on is, with Chris and some of the others, been very fiscally conservative. And like what Ben wants, keeping the infrastructure. Because I remember years ago going to town meetings where they're like, hey, we didn't raise your taxes. But as we all know now with our water system, I don't know if we're still allowed, if somebody has a land piece of property in the town, can they now get onto water and sewer? No, because the
Sewer.
infrastructure was put in the back seat for so long that now the state has shut us down. So if you got a town lot, yeah, if you want to put in your own well and septic. So keeping up with the infrastructure and keeping the taxes down, it's a whole circle of things that, we need to, take care of our town as much as we can, try to help some social services, but we can't, like a lot of towns, we can't be a handout to everyone. Every time somebody has like, hey, let's just go to the town. We try to teach I don't have my own kids, but I had stepkids and accountability and responsibility. And if you only get $20 in your wallet, little sweetheart, you're not going to go to the movies and do X, Y, Z because all you got is 20 and I'm not giving you any more. So there just comes a time when people have to rein it in, and sometimes it takes the select board to rein it in so that people's taxes, because I do hear from some senior citizens that are just having a heck of a time. Paul pointed that out last week that, some people got their Medicare, got their 2 or 3% increase, but by the time we now have to pay, our Medicaid has gone up, that raise is gone. If we want to consider it a raise.
Yeah. So one of the things I think maybe just to clarify for people that don't know is, Ben, as far as, forced giving in a way, that's exactly what it is, but it's also statutorily driven. So even if you cut every appropriation, people have the right to petition. And once you put them in the budget, for example, say we put this list in as is, and you ask everybody to take a certain cut, they can stand up, as you saw last year at town meeting, and they can try to amend the article. And certainly the select board can defend their decision. And I think we saw that last year. We had asked the food shelf and the library to take a cut. The library came and said, we can't. The food shelf said that they would. And then the town meeting, somebody stood up to give them back the money and everybody voted it through. So it's Gene Krause. So it's the select board's responsibility to put forward a budget. It's your budget that you can sell. If they're at town meeting and they stand up from the floor and start amending stuff, they're hurting themselves and their neighbors, basically, because your job is to put together a fiscally responsible budget, because your oath is that you will represent all residents of Bethel. So I think that some people may not realize that you can't just say Bethel will never pay any more social services. You can't, because people can petition until the state law changes. But you're not alone, Ben. I have heard that from several people who feel like it's forced giving. They'd rather have their taxes reduced so they could choose to give money to maybe to their church or to the food shelf or to the library, but their own choice, so they're not feeling like they're forced into it. So you're not alone in that feeling.
The idea of petitioning, because I'd rather have that discussion rather than just write a check every year.
Yeah.
And, you know, people get really cranky about it, then maybe the people who aren't showing up at town meeting might catch wind of this and get more involved.
Yep. Mhm. So do you, I don't know how you're gonna do this. So we gotta get through local, we gotta get through social services here. So are you currently leaving the budget same, but what do you want to do about the food shelf and the library? You know, the food shelf has come right out and provide you financials saying they have at least a year's worth of money. So.
If we just pick on one person, it's gonna be the same situation at town meeting.
Mhm.
And they're gonna let them on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we though? Are we?
Maybe not.
Are we picking on people that want a ton of money and have some?
Mhm.
No, it's a fair point, and we can make that argument.
And you can make the argument, and then if it changes from the floor, that's a change from the floor, but at least you can sleep at night by saying, this is the budget we put forward. We believe that because they have, you know, X amount of a year's worth of reserves, they don't need the full 30 or 35,000, whatever they're asking for. So you can put that forward. Whether voters change that is them, and you still have the right to vote against that amendment. Just because you're select board members doesn't mean you lost your right to vote at town meeting.
Right.
And
And this,
for all these services,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like if we start down here, this 10% is not gonna break those two organizations. I don't believe it. I don't think it's gonna hurt the cause. I think it might suck to have a little less, but it's not gonna. No one's going under, the services are not gonna be provided.
right.
I think the show will go on. And it just kind of sucks a little.
I just know if I had to do, if I found out I was gonna have 10% less in my own personal budget, that would be kind of thing, right? And you're saying that, right? It would suck. And, try to be pragmatic about it, right? I would love to slash a whole bunch of stuff. But I know that's not the way you get things done, right? At least not with people.
I think
supporting.
another, be cognizant about the others above is, Paul made the comment about the fact that some of you, they have just a chunk, a small chunk of money they leverage.
Right.
We know about leveraging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do it all the time.
If we were to put it to a point where they couldn't use it for leverage, we take away 300, they lose 3,000.
Right.
Possible. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm just throwing out some weird
That's how it
numbers.
works with Tri-Vet. If we
Right.
pull any of our funding for them, they lose
They
their
goes up to
entire,
34,000.
yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't
Yeah.
they say they had a 40% match? Isn't that what they told us? That sometimes they leverage it
Times,
Four
four
times.
times.
Yeah.
Okay, 40.
They got up to
so
34,000.
if they get,
Yeah,
then we
they
have
get
to
that.
provide for a full share for
Yeah,
that
Right,
to get the 4%.
Right.
Or 4 times.
because see, they've been looking for grant money. And that's the thing with like the
that's a good point.
library and the food shelf. I know the food shelf, they do a lot of grant writing. They don't do coin drops or anything like that. They have their own fundraising stuff. I didn't see quite so much with the library with their fundraising stuff. The last year or so seemed to be down compared to before. And there are grants out there. After the last meeting, I just popped online looking for grants for libraries in Vermont and immediately saw several. And actually I sent one to Teresa and she goes, I just found the same thing.
And Lisa's writing it.
Yeah, so there is other monies out there and the library does have they have 300,000 in their endowment.
Okay.
So that was one of the things.
There a flat reduction across all of the balance, but I am looking at some of the human services for the first time, so I do kind of want to get into the weeds a little bit, if that's okay, because I'm seeing a new one for 6,000 with nothing to sports on here.
I was curious about that one as well.
That's fine. You can talk about whatever you want.
But, you know, I've never given money to youth sports before, so.
They haven't.
Yeah, I would say that we're probably the only town out there at all that doesn't fully fund those sports for children.
I had in Barry, my stepdaughter, when she didn't play with the school sports, if she did any youth sports, it was pay to play.
But the schools offer sports.
Right,
So
but
the school doesn't.
the school does offer sport, but I'm talking, oh,
Right. So in Barry, they do, they just have other organizations that also do sports. But, you know, this is our only sports for the children here. And all the other towns around us, yet again, are taking care of that, and. I mean, they're getting by, but it's rough.
Does the school give you any money?
No.
I almost,
well, that seems
They
like
give
something.
us the,
well, I didn't know.
they've given
Yeah.
us the field
Right.
and access to them at any moment that we need. They give us the school anytime we need.
Nice.
They give us that. I guess there could be something that we could ask for, but again, it just asking for it here or asking for it there, it's the same tax.
Yeah, exactly. Comes out of the same wallet. You're right. So do they maintain the fields too, or do you have
So
to?
they, no.
So you do,
Paint.
so
we
you
have-
get,
And Moose Soccer donated their soccer nets to us to use at no cost. And they donate $250 to use our sheds down there. But there's no scoreboards, there's not much.
so the school does basically an in-kind by letting you use the fields. They don't charge you rent. They maintain the field. So they do something.
I
for
mean,
you.
I would, again, I'd ask for it there, ask for it here. We're all paying.
We still sell banners and stuff that they see.
They haven't done the banners this year for the soccer fields.
We're asking other people to do fundraising, right? So.
Yeah, and that's all Bethel Youth Sports has done is fundraising. That's the only way the kids have anything. And I think the fundraising has, I mean, that's 100% of the, you know, other than tuition to play. Which you could raise that, and then, you know, there's kids, we have a little bit of a scholarship fund for kids that can't afford gear and tuition to play. And that's dwindling down as we help people that can't afford it in town. And it's just, you know, kids that can't afford to play, there's people that can't afford to eat, and they get to go eat, and
Right.
to say the kids can't play. Yeah, no, it's just, you know, we're yet again the only town. We're just down on everything. We're down on the select board pay. We're down on the policing. We're down, I imagine, on the fire department. I mean, we're just down.
Yeah. What's the budget for Bethel Youth Sports?
I think Paul has all that information.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was
Just
like
switched
10
over.
grand or 6
It
grand. or-
depends on how much you are able to do.
Yeah.
If
What
you're
sports
able
is
to
it?
get- So there's basketball, baseball, soccer. And we're the only ones around that have cheerleading, which when I took over the sports, it was very distraught and just barely getting by, and now cheerleading's kind of, she did a lot of work keeping that going herself, and now we're all trying to help her. And we have kids coming from Randolph, kids coming from Sharon, you know, Rochester, and it's growing we have kids that come to basketball from, you know, Randolph, and they just like the coaching and stuff like that, and we try to, you know, all those are volunteers. Every coach is a volunteer.
Yeah.
So there's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We-
it's not that I don't support the mission of the sports, obviously I do.
yeah.
But it's just about making everyone else feel for it too. Okay.
And those kids, there's a lot of things they could be doing, but they're not.
And that brings you back to, you know, the community conversations of, what is there to do here that keeps you out of making more trouble and drugs and the, you know, all the mischief, and the graffiti and, you know, what are we offering? And
What ages do you serve? Basically.
pre-K through 6.
Through 6, yeah,
6 is middle school, but
right.
they still have the option to play.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
I don't want to single you out, Gordon. I just noticed you were.
No, I prefer it just because it's easier for me to answer the questions, but
Like Playhouse Theater, I love the theater. I don't, you know, I pay whatever I had to pay for a ticket, for business, but I don't understand why we're giving them. I don't understand why that's a human service.
They petitioned, originally for 3,
yeah.
remember? Because he was mad because he didn't get included, so he petitioned for 3. Yeah, Paul Snow, so he did petition.
Well,
that
that
year.
line item,
He went from
he
3
asked
to
for
1,
1, but if you don't give him 1, he'll petition for 3 and he'll get it.
and he did.
And he
Yeah.
will.
And he stood up at town meeting and said he was mad. He was straight up. You got to give it to Bennett. He was totally honest. He said, I was so mad because I had to petition, so I asked for more and he
He had no
got
reason
it.
to ask
So
for it.
God bless him.
He
Yeah.
made him ask for it, so he can ask for more.
Yeah, he was completely honest about it. And, but yeah, so that's.
And people felt strongly enough to give it to him.
Yeah,
So how do you, if you cut it, you're gonna give it to him.
Yeah.
And
Spread it out.
you can only,
I have that for line item.
yeah, it's up. And I think, again, it goes back to that. You need to put forward what you feel is the right budget. If it gets changed from the floor, that gets changed from the floor. That's, you know, you've made your argument, or the select board will have made their argument and made their point. But no, I'm just saying, you know, so in the end, they'll do what they'll do.
And I see our actual for human services was 20 and change in 24, 25, and then we put down $5
Mhm.
and so we're only up $5 grand for the proposed budget over the actual from 2 years ago. But that with taking out $5 transit and what was the other one?
Senior center.
Senior center. We've actually added a lot more. We've added 10 grand to the proposed budget for human services this year. That's correct, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah, 9,600, I think. Yeah, yeah.
And so, I mean, Paul, I know you're listening, you probably have some choice words for me, but I'm just curious, like, if we're asking everyone to consider giving a little bit back, and also prepared to give a little bit back on their proposed budget.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what Ben was
Say that
saying.
again.
I'm just saying, you know, we're looking at $10,000 increase over last year's actuals or budget, I should say.
Yeah.
And, you know, you did make the point that we should consider clawing back some from these other organizations. Are you going to do the same for your proposed budget this year?
Well, I think it's the logistics of doing that. I'm not opposed to that. But the logistics of doing it now that we've handed the recommendation over to you folks, it kind of puts it back in your lap to make that change. I think it would be difficult for me to go back and try to change those numbers and then have to reconvene the committee to get their approval. I don't think it'd be a problem, but logistically and legally, I don't think that's the right path that should take at this point. I think it needs to, fortunately or unfortunately, it's in your lap. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of what's being said. But at this point, I think that's the route that you have to go. Thank you.
What else have anything to say about
Jed?
human services or?
Be nice to know if you could keep it this way for next year.
Well, it sounds like from what Paul has mentioned that they're gonna formulate it a little different next year and possibly have the select board put a cap on your overall, Paul, of what you can have, because you said you don't have a cap now, so.
Yeah, we've never had a cap, but I've always tried to be very conservative. I've been doing it for
Right.
8, 9 years or whatever. And I've always tried to keep the number under control. But we never had 3 new ones in 1 year either. And one of which is a fairly significant chunk of money. So we've always tried to keep it within limits. There are many years where we've not given people what they wanted, just because we were trying to keep the number under control. But this year, I think, is a blip in the process. So yes, either a cap or make people petition to start, with a petition on it, or maybe eliminate the whole process and make everybody aware that the town has, got limited funding and this is only how much we're going to spend. And so there's a number of different options, plus the logistics of getting 5 people in the same room to agree on things. Just schedule wise is just crazy. It's just crazy. And then we're chasing people, for documentation that we don't get. And it's just, there's a lot to it. So I'd like to see it changed.
And that's something the select board can work on, in the spring over the summer too.
There's no significant jump, except for the youth sports, which I don't see a problem with for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an opinion about food shelf? You've seen their finances. I don't know if Ben commented on that either, so.
The food shelf does seem to have quite a bit of money set aside. Probably do with a little less. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And the fundraising, like you said, Denise was down from the library,
Right.
so that could have been another way to raise some funds.
Can we consider doing, 10% a lot?
Right.
Can we consider saying 2% or something like that? Just something meaningful, but and with a warning that we want to reach a 10% goal over 3 years or something like that. So that we ease into it, they can feel it a little bit this year and they'll feel it more in the coming years, but they can plan for it.
Right. You're talking just about what we have on this piece of paper.
Are you talking about just the food shelf? You're talking about everybody
Food shelf and the library. as
and
well?
everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. 2%.
I mean, once you cut everybody and then they lose their match, you're talking about taking Tri-Valley Transit, you're talking about taking not 7,600, you're talking about taking 40,000. You're gonna take 35,000 immediately when you don't match what we owe.
I think, that's a fair point on Tri-Valley Transit.
So I think if we left it as is and we started moving forward as, already thinking about next year and what we're gonna do, and I think the library coming up with their plan from Bennett of here's the actual plan, and this is what it's gonna take, and this is what we're gonna do. And this is our goals for this year. And the food shelf, with plans and goals, and we haven't gotten that at all. And we've asked for it.
And that's probably a good way to do it, Jordan, is you could say this is the last year that the select board is going to support fully funding if they don't see a plan, financial plan over the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years, that you want to see a long range plan for the library, and otherwise they'll have to take their chances. You can also look at it this summer with making everybody petition, nobody likes to be out in the cold getting their signatures. So, and you're right. I also, thinking about what Jordan is saying, there's also a portion of it that we can have this conversation for 2 hours, but once it goes in front of the voters, what are the odds they're not going to give them back the money? You can put through what you feel is responsible.
That hurts.
It does hurt. I agree.
5 of us sit around and we don't sit around having coffee and donuts. We work on this. I sat in the office with you guys. We work on this. And I'd like to think we are all elected as being folks that are looking out for the town of Bethel. We don't want to put money in our own pocket.
Right.
So when someone stands up and says, I don't believe you know what you're talking about, we need to put more money here, that's last year I wanted to jump up and yell.
No, me too.
We talked about, we
We
beat
did.
that horse.
We did, and we've had, multiple conversations about it. So I understand, what you're saying. And so yeah, so it could be that you put it through this year. Leave it up to the voters. If they want to cut some money from the food shelf, their financials are in the town report. If you feel that, and then you can set some ground rules. We could work on either, outlining human services, new procedures or policies that you want to put in place and saying, hey, you know what? If you don't get the answers that we want by this date, then then you have to petition because you're looking for that information and you have been asking for that information. This is
Yeah.
not the first year you've asked for a long range
The
plan.
third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what do you want to do?
Eyes.
Well, Ben's ready to say something.
until we get plans.
Just
plan for us.
Well, I think you're going to set the parameters for
It
that.
says written.
This page 9
Nine.
as printed.
Okay, so,
Can we vote that?
well, you can go around and get a consensus. You don't have to vote, Bo, but if Jordan wants to leave as is, Dave wants to leave as is.
Ben,
We should plan ahead a little bit better for next budget season about how we're gonna, I'm okay with leaving.
And I think the plan then, I agree with you. The
Yeah.
plan is, okay, you got it. But guess what?
Things are
We
gonna
expect
change. Yeah.
something, you need to expect something different in
Yeah,
another
it
year.
has to with the transfer station money,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Or otherwise everyone's gonna feel it,
Mhm.
one way or the other.
And that's why I cut half the value out of the capital improvements this year, and I'll cut another half next year to make that up.
The only other thing that sticks out to me
Mhm.
is the 6,000 for Bethel New Sports. I'm concerned about playing favorites, about,
Well, I will say this is, obviously Jordan, he has a vote as a resident, but he doesn't have a vote on that topic as a select board member. He knows that. So if you want to amend that amount, he can't. He has to recuse himself. So he just would have to take his chances from the floor like everybody else. Jordan, he's gonna be out there with this little petition.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I would, saying that, really quickly jumping into it. Randolph gives 17,500 directly. And then they provide another 75,000 for sports camps throughout the summer. And that's huge.
Yeah, that's
And I mean, South Royalton, again, is paying. And everyone's taking care of the kids in the community, and 6 compared to 100 north and south is.
Oh.
I would say next year, we're not gonna ask for more, and there's gonna be hoops to jump through, and that's fine, and whatever, but. It's just barely getting by, and all the financials got sent to Paul. Paul looked them over, they had 5 people sitting and working on only 12 people and going through their financials, and, they spent their time doing that and worked with those people and felt what was fair, so. Yeah, it's a number this year, but I feel like it's a small number that the town can pitch in to help. But that's up to you.
yeah, sure.
That's fine.
You're comparing us to other towns, but do you want to move forward or land up?
If we keep cutting the budget so that the town has nothing, I would most certainly do that. I mean, I'm not gonna stay and we'll just close everything around us and, well, now taxes are going down, but we don't have the Bethel Arts Center, which we don't fund, but everything's just gonna close around us because we can't afford to live. We can't afford to do things. I mean, I don't want to see this town just shut down and just not exist as far as things to do here.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to see that at all.
but there's also seniors and people on fixed incomes or low-paying jobs, probably with no fault of their own, cars break down, and just don't always have the money to take care of stuff. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's been said at this table before, the more money we hand out, the higher the taxes are, whether you own or not, your landlord's gonna raise your rent if their taxes go up. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. The more you give out, the more it's gonna cost, because nothing's gonna be for free.
Would you like to take 5% off it? I was gonna say, let's cut it. We'd love to hear other people. It's 3,000 more than you get this year.
I think it's gonna be hard to cut one and not all.
I'm only targeting W Sports because they've never asked for money before. And it's the biggest
The
one.
library or the food shelf never asked for money before. It came in and asked for, well, what?
30. They come in for 30?
This is their third year.
And that's what they got.
Hey, I'm all
So,
about, reducing them by a couple percent too, but I think.
Well, again, I don't want to cut the food shelf down to nothing either. But I'm not speaking on this topic for me, but just in general across the board. The budget's at 2%, possibly 2.25 when we get into policing, but
It's a good budget.
that's
We're
wildly low. I mean, that's low.
It's a good budget. I mean, we're not, aside from policing and human services, that's really the only issue here. I mean, I haven't gone through and made some big cutback or sort. I mean, we're a municipality. This is what we do every year. We try to do a lot with a little. It's what we do. We don't have a 12 or $14 million budget like the school. So, I feel like this is a fair, taking human services out of it. It's a fair budget. I can still run the road crew. I can run, the whole town, on this proposed budget. I wouldn't cut it to the quick because we're budgeting out so far. So, we have to do that. We've also been lucky because we've put money aside in capital funds. So we have saved. So in the end, it'll be, and still you can stand up at town meeting and say you want to cut Bethel Youth Sports. You can, just because you're a select board member doesn't mean you can't do that.
We totally agree. We do great with our budget. There's not a lot of room to cut. We don't give a lot of money to these things.
Oh.
It's the spirit of debate and making sure that we don't lose sight of where the money comes from. It's when we say the town, that is every single person who pays tax.
Or even if you don't pay taxes, if you live in this town, your landlord's gonna raise your rent. Yeah, exactly.
It's not a money tree. Town doesn't have a money tree. Right? It
Nope.
comes from somebody.
That's right. All right, so I think you left off with Jordan and Dave saying leave the appropriations as is.
Yeah.
And Jen said, what, you don't feel like it'd be fair to just cut one thing?
Yeah,
No.
that's my view anyway.
Oh, that's,
You wanna give
Everybody all
leave
the
it
money
and that's,
as it is.
okay,
as it is written or
as it is written.
With the 10%, because right now, part of the,
No.
that's a suggestion for the 10% for the food
Oh.
shelf and the.
Yeah. Well, you wanted
that's
to,
what we were saying.
okay, so you're
As
saying,
this sheet says, as you wrote the budget,
okay,
leave the budget as you wrote it.
with the 10% cut for food shelf and a 10% cut for the library. Okay,
Correct.
Those are-
Okay.
sorry. Understood.
I think that's really tough to ask those two entities to get back 10%.
Mhm.
As much as I'd love to see do that,
Mhm.
I think that's a lot in 1 year.
So
And
what-
I'm not sure I was on the as written
Mhm.
either.
Okay. So what do you think's a better clawback?
We tried 3% last year, right? That didn't go through, so.
Gosh.
I mean, we could try again, 2-3%.
But they didn't have a year's worth under their belt.
The food shelf, yeah.
Right. And the library, we've asked for a plan. This is going on the thing. And there's never been a plan.
Mhm.
And they're quite low.
The challenge I'm having, Jordan, is that every argument you make is saying they could be using on youth sports.
You can.
And the other way around, right? You know, why these things are great and we should give money to them, you know, so it's.
I can't vote on that subject, but I can vote on everything else.
Mhm. So I guess you should, so we know what, okay, so Jordan and Dave are saying 10% plus
Food shelf.
10% food shelf, 10% library. Good point. Library has not provided you your request over the last 3 years, and food shelf has enough in their coffers for another year. They admitted that, and it's also all in all their financials.
They get no more money.
Right, and that's all in their financials, which they were very open about.
Right.
And they are working on a task force to help they were hoping that maybe next year they wouldn't need funding or as much funding, so they're also working on.
Baseball.
Yeah, so they're also working on things.
Yeah,
So,
and they write a lot of,
Coming in.
Yeah.
they do write a lot of grants.
yeah, so
Yeah,
the food
and they
shelf
get
is.
donations.
So that year to go is not including more coming in as we go.
Okay.
And then the library has 300,000 in their endowment. I know they want to get up to 1 million, but I don't feel that it should be on the back of the taxpayers because I don't see a whole lot of fundraising that's been going on there that they could put out a little bit more. They could probably do a capital campaign, send everybody a letter with, hey, we need some help. I mean, when the computers were stolen, which now both have been found, it was just out there that when it was out there, it was stolen. From what I understand, they did get some money from donations to get those computers back, and that happened in a fairly quick time. So, if people are willing to give, is my thought.
The other option too, Ben, is if you don't want to feel like you're punishing the library because they have not provided you with the capital planning that you've been asking for. They said they were struggling to find someone to do that. Whereas in the food shelf, obviously has the money and they've been upfront about that. You don't have to necessarily cut the library, or you could cut food shelf 10%, but ask the library for, a little less or something if you're feeling, there's all sorts of options out there. I know.
I just don't, I don't want to start getting emotional about this, right?
You don't have to worry about, I can tell you right now, nothing personal here between you and me. I'm doing what I say for the town.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with me.
I love what the food shop does. I give money all day long.
Mhm.
It's the principle that it's not my money.
Right. That's a really good point. That's a good point, Ben. And it makes you a good steward of the money because you think like that. But I think at this point, you may have 3 unless depending on what Jed says about how you feel about the 10% cut for food shelf and 10% for the library.
They
What's your,
certainly are the largest asks
Mhm.
by
yeah,
far. Take 10% off of the others, it's.
yeah.
Well, the way I look at I look at human services as one bucket, right? And we could ask for a flat cut of human services with a similar cut to the other two. Then, human service can be, who's taking the hit.
The unfortunate thing is they can't. We're running out of time. So, and that's what Paul was saying is he can't, he doesn't want us to kick it back to him. They made their recommendation. That was their recommendation.
Got it.
Now you will do with it. You're either going to bless it or change it.
And we usually get it from them earlier, but like you said, getting 5 people together in a room, which they can see at any time kind of, but I can't call you guys and say, come on over to my house. Let's talk about the budget. We cannot do that. We can't get together, and talk about stuff. So we have to.
No, that's why just you and Dave, when you guys came.
Yeah,
With the
when
budget,
just
I was
two
like,
of
all
us
right, what's
went in
good in
and-
here, there, so we could try to work it out.
So where does Jed stay?
He's thinking,
I'm good with that, it's written.
With a 10%. Yep. Okay.
all right, there you go. You got 3
Okay.
right there. So we'll move forward with a 10% cut to the food shelf and a 10% cut to the library. And Lisa's online, so she's hearing that. So if I'm understanding this correctly, you're feeling about the 10% to the library is because they have not done the capital planning and you feel they could do more fundraising. The food shelf is the cut because they have over a year's worth of money, which they've openly discussed. They're not hiding it, and they've given you the financial say so. So, and again, it'll go to the floor. So,
In the library. Yeah, it's just, the money is available right now. It's not gonna grow interest because they're gonna use it if they have to. But just the plan that has been asked of where are we headed? And I guess the other question there was, what do they need to be the full library that a library needs to be or wants to be? We haven't gotten any of the answers. It's just been the amount every fall
yep.
or winter without a plan.
Yep.
But
Makes sense. So,
All right.
hopefully there's no hard feelings that
yeah.
nobody just
you're
likes
doing
those
it.
services.
It's not, and everybody's there. So,
Just on paper.
Okay.
yeah, so policing is the next one. And maybe we should just do this as a starting point before we go down the rabbit hole is the budget is level funded at 36. So, but I know that Dave wanted to see 38. So maybe we could just, if everybody just went around quickly and said how many hours they want to see in this budget, at least then you'll know if we've got 3 people that stand on one number, then we can just move on. We're level funded
36.
at 36. But maybe it would just,
Before we go around,
okay,
when we had talked with Ryan, it was the 40 hours provided us with getting 2 broken shifts. So 2
Yep.
officers that are dedicated to Bethel. No
Yep.
longer the 5, 6 officers. And that's part of a breakdown, is that trying to fill Bethel with these holes instead of these 2 people. Obviously someone's gonna take a vacation, or maybe if somebody gets sick, maybe the other officer could fill in more, but that was the offer to us, was that with the 40, we would have, 2 main officers that would service Bethel that we could reach out to, that we all started to get to know, and we're part of the community, as opposed to whoever can make it to Bethel. That's just the insight that I have.
no, and that's true when we talked to him about it, because I was telling him I wanted to pick the 2 we got, Jordan. I was like, I want to pick. And he and I had that conversation. And so it's, you started at, what, 33 hours. They obviously came in 1 year. We hired them to pick up the rest of the shift from the constable because the constable couldn't make it. Oscar had another job, which is totally fine. And then the next year, I think you did 24 hours.
That was 80,000.
Yep, 80,000 was about 24 hours. And then we went from 24 hours to 36 hours.
Yeah,
And which is where we're at right now.
yeah.
And then whether you go 36, 38, 40, whatever, but I feel like if you maybe just went through person by person and start with hours, we'll realize this may cut the discussion way down.
Yeah. Yeah, because our budget for 24, 25 was 80,000, and then 25, 26, we jumped it up 60,000 and went to, or 60,400. We went up to 140,400 within 1 year. So level funding will stay at 140, 400. And 38 will jump us up another 5.5% and add another $7,800 to jump up for 2 hours.
So maybe you could just start with just,
Let's
just what hours, like 30?
play with percentages.
Well, no, just
Let's
start
play
with,
with percentages. What does that do to the whole budget?
not much. I mean, you
Yeah,
could see it on,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, it does.
5.5% sounds like a lot of money.
I did,
They're only gonna raise the
Right.
budget by 0.02.
right, exactly.
Library.
Right.
That 15,000.
78.
7,800, only if you went to,
This is
yeah,
like the 6th version of this, so
it feels like
we've
my hundred.
adjusted everybody across
Yeah.
the board.
So maybe if you just, so how many hours you want, Jordan? I'm just gonna take a little.
I'm
poll.
gonna go last. I'll tell you that.
Okay, Dave,
I want 40, but I would vote for 38.
okay. All right, Jed. We're at 36, just,
And I would say 36, but if you're in the middle, I would go in the middle.
okay. Ben,
Middle meaning 36.
38.
Okay,
Ben wants 20.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I would lean toward reducing hours, but I'd be okay with level funding.
I'll go 38.
I'm okay with level funding.
Jordan's 38. Okay, well, there you go. There's your answer.
Everybody,
I mean, do you think more discussion is going to change your mind?
no,
Do you think more discussion is going to change your mind?
No.
I don't.
did,
That was easy.
Yeah, I'm just meeting in the middle.
Okay.
And I want to change my mind.
There you go. See? Then we'll go with 38.
Thank you.
Put it in front of the budget, in front of the budget. So then that's it. Is there anything else that you want to change to the budget?
I'm
Okay.
okay. No,
All right,
had our
this is it.
conversation.
Yeah. So you're gonna sleep in your car tonight?
Never said that, Ben.
Gonna
They
sleep.
went down $18,000.
Well, the reason that they did that is because it was actually really good. I had a conversation with Frank and obviously with Sally in there. What I liked was that they're going to have the same amount for the whole year. What they normally do is because their calendar year and we're fiscal year, that amount changes. So Frank had showed me the numbers and he was like, Grace, it means we're going to be higher here and then cut. And I'm like, no way, that's going to screw all of us because I always build my last 6 months off from the final payment. So if it's less, then I'm tanking it. So he did feel like if they just level funded for the full year, the amount every month, instead of adjusting up and down, it would be more continuity, which is what we were looking for, because otherwise we're estimating, we don't know what that next amount's going to be. So I'd rather base it off a more accurate number than something too low. So yeah, I was really happy. Frank has been a great addition to Warba.
Yeah,
Really, definitely. So
all right, and now we got that all squared away.
so what I'm gonna say is I'll draft the budget informational piece, so that we'll talk about the budget as far as, we'll, so that the piece that we deliver in the beginning and that will go in town report. So I'll draft that.
Okay. All right, now. Ready?
Yeah, no, I'm just not sure. This horse has already been beaten, maybe
Well, I don't know. Do we
Main
have
Street.
much to talk about with?
No.
For parking? I think we can just jump over that because that's gonna be on the on there again, and we have the map here. That everybody's looked at. Can you come up to the microphone? Because otherwise people can't hear.
I was just saying, I can't find it on the town website and I'd like.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
If you go under minutes and agendas, select board packet is one of the last items. And if you click on that, it should be listed as like appendix, whatever, A or B or something. So it's on there.
As a packet?
Yep, if you go under select board packets, 2024, and then,
Town of Bethel Planning Commission agenda and minutes.
yep, and if you scroll down, it will show you where the select board packet is. But I can also email it to you if you want.
Please do that.
Yeah,
That would be
what's
great.
can you just give me your email just to,
It's Leah,
Leah?
yes,
Yep,
at Main Street Wellness.
okay, perfect,
Street is abbreviated.
okay. At Gmail?
No, Main.
I mean, at Main Street Wellness.
.net.
Not
Sorry,
.net, I meant to ask that
Yes,
first,
thank
sorry.
you for.
No, I'll send it to you, Leah. Yes, of course. And when we get another iteration, I'll send you that too. Yeah, of course, happy to.
All right. Jumped over that one. Combine 5 funds into the capital improvements fund.
So we have some, just some funds with just a little bit of money in them. And one of the things that, costs us money, obviously, is when we're audited, is that they're always like, Therese, you have too many funds. And so it's true. And so anyways, what I want to do is move some of the money, like there's some in leasehold and you just see your list. You can find mine. Thank you.
Basically, house cleaning.
Yeah, basically, we're just moving all of that money into Fund 63. It's still going to get interest. It's still going to be accessible. It's just, a lot of these things you balance every month and there's no change. So it's really just a time thing and it's just less funding to deal with. So I asked the auditors about it. They said they'd make the journal entries for me, but they needed select board approval.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Move to allow Reese to make one fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. And review of draft town meeting, 26 warning discussion.
So I realized that I numbered them. I goofed up in my numbering when I was cutting and pasting. So I think I have 2 9s. So sorry about that. I just noticed that. So obviously this will change now and we will talk, it will obviously I'll fill in the budget numbers and, bye, Robert. Thank you for coming. Yes, thanks for coming. So the, anyway, I don't know why I can't find anything today. So yeah, so I numbered them wrong. And, so obviously, and I think that one of the changes is going to be that, I currently have Article 9 as one article, and I think I'm going to both break that up so that shall the voters authorize the transfer of up to 425,000 towards the purchase of a grader from the undesignated fund balance would be one. Obviously, that's a hurdle we've been trying to get over for the last several years using capital money. And we just can't seem to save enough money to deal with the grader. Not to mention the fact that we know we need to go to a bond vote in 2026 for the town garage. So it's a good use for undesignated fund balance money that will not raise taxes. It's money that's already, set aside. The other article will be $80,000 to up to, and these are up to $80,000 towards the purchase of a containment unit for filling air bottles for self-contained breathing apparatus at the fire department. So currently we're not where we're supposed to be. The insurance company is not thrilled with us because when you fill the air bottles, there is a little bit of a containment unit, but it's actually supposed to have a cage over it because if it blows, it's like we're going to put it through the roof of the fire station and it'll probably land some trailer park. So that the insurance company is like, it's a major liability and they said we need to deal with it. The other article would be up to $65,000 to outfit the new fire truck with hose, nozzles, tools, etc. So the undesignated fund balance in 2024 was just over 2 million. Remember, that's not just cash, that's assets. So this thing about the 65,000 to outfit the new fire truck is this is the fire truck that was damaged or was totaled on the interstate. Yes, we were made whole by the state, and yes, we were made whole between the state and the insurance company. The 65,000 was that we used what we recouped for equipment, nozzles, hoses that we lost, and outfitted the fire truck, the Norwich fire truck that we were able to buy that the state paid for. So so we did write, Gary Kugler and Dietrich Feeney wrote a grant for this, for the AFG grant, and we did not get it. So that's where that money, so that's why. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. Three. Yep. I think it'll just be easier to discuss each of them separately. And I think, hopefully with people understanding that it's not going to raise taxes. So we'll be able to buy the grader, buy the containment unit and outfit this truck at no property tax increase. So, so that's the reason and we've tried 10 ways from Sunday to figure out the grader, but with the town garage definitely coming. I mean, there's water leaking around the light, it's moldy, the stuff's, we just don't have a choice here. And I'd rather do this. It's more fiscally responsible to do this, use the money we have than to add $425,000 to a possibly 1.5 or whatever $1 million going to cost us to build a garage. So, because then you're paying interest on it over 30 years. So I feel like these are they're 3 legitimate, important, purchases. So, anyways.
People could look at it as investing in our future taxes.
Right, exactly. That's absolutely right. Yeah. So So if you see any typos or anything, let me know. Article 1, we have to play with because I couldn't, Pam and I were laughing about it. We have to figure out who has what term left.
See, I thought we had 3 up for election this year.
Well, we do. That's why I said we have to look at this and we couldn't, Pam and I got laughing about it because I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to figure out how much of a term does Ben have left? How much of a term does Jed have left? And Denise is running for her own term. So who got the 2-year, who filled the 3-year? So.
Oh, yeah, we have it on the chalkboard. This
We
what
did,
happened.
yeah,
This
so-
what happened. This what happened.
Well, it depends where you took over. You may have just finished the 1 year of a 2-year term, which case you'd be running for 2 years. If you were doing a year of a 3-year, then, so we have to go back and see because it was you took over for, I've lost track.
Whatever
now.
seat you fill, you have to run for that position again if you're gonna run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we flipped seats around,
Yeah,
so they got it on the board. This one took
yeah.
all these.
We were trying to,
Is there like sticky notes and like?
Oh, yeah,
I did on the
it's
chalkboard
geometry.
to figure out who, because I was trying to calculate who got a stipend. And finally it boiled down to Jed. We said, if he makes it to June, he gets the stipend. So, because this one served a month or one time and, anywho, so there is some changes there to the article. I did look ahead to make sure that taxes were due on those dates because they don't always fall on the 15th. But we'll fill this out and hopefully you will approve it at your next meeting in January. And then by then we'll be, putting everything together for a town report. And I will write it used to be that the town manager wrote a report and the select board wrote a report, but somehow Chris Jarvis said, Trees, why don't you just write one for everybody? Oh, why don't I? So I'll write that and
He always did have some good ideas.
and I'll kick that out to you guys. And so if you have anything that we're missing, I don't know, the last year we can.
So when do we start getting, or when do we ask Pam for our petitions to get filled?
You can ask her now. She has that stuff now. Well, Jed and Ben might want to wait a minute till we figure out the math.
I gotta figure out, I got a 2-year.
But yours is
It's
a,
3-year.
yours is 3 years,
Does it
so.
have to fill out 2, one for the safety officer?
Yeah, so one for the health officer, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
working on that.
Yeah, she's still trying to convince one of you to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she said she'd stay on as the deputy. It just, it's just nice to have somebody else how to do it.
Yeah.
So, $25 an hour. Yeah.
It used to be just, $100 a month, but then once one person was doing it and they were putting a lot of hours in, it's like.
Yeah.
Is that,
Well, let's talk.
yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, so if anyone, do you have anything for the warning? Otherwise I'll correct the article numbers. We'll straighten out put this into 3 votes and then, fix Article 1. So you should, but that'll be out and you'll be able to sign that next time at the next meeting.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on there. It's number 8.
Yep. Okay.
So I guess, do you want to keep, the food shelf and library as separate articles, or are you just gonna? Discuss it as part of the budget? They're separate articles.
Separate articles, yeah, because we kind of went back and forth on that and decided that either way they can.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of.
Yep, and it can
The way
be.
it is.
So, all right.
Here's one of them, just lumped it all in the bucket.
Yeah. The thought before was that, I think that this past select board wanted those people to make their presentations directly to the voters. So that if they wanted the money, they will send somebody to the town report, town meeting to talk about it and answer questions about it. So
So it breaks out everyone's right.
it's true, yeah.
The sheriff come in,
And he could, he could talk.
The sheriff.
Well, he was here last year.
Some for more than the food shelf. I would say he's making.
He's been here before.
That was not right.
No, it's not. And it wasn't before because of law.
And more
And Warva is, but yeah, and that's, I think, something to talk about, honestly, as part of next year, when you talk about appropriations, Yeah, are you going to move everything into the budget? Because it can be voted up or down, increased or decreased when they're discussing the general fund article. So that's a possibility.
Everything on here, there was some discussion around the library.
There was.
Michelle.
Yep,
Where was the rubber stamp?
it generally is.
But there was a lot of discussion around police, if that's not a subject.
Nope, it's part of the general, well, it's a, yeah, part of the general fund.
I would agree with Ben that all of those entities came in here multiple times throughout the year and said these things and has pitched to us overseeing the budget and over that I don't, and we've done this for years, that we all know, and the people that need to know are coming or watching. And I don't feel strongly that they have to get up in front of everybody and ask again.
There you go. You could make them, you could add it all to the budget and then, I mean, because people, you know, when the article comes up for the budget, it's all fair game. It is, and it's all fair game. Items can be voted up or down in the, you know, the only thing they can't do. Yeah, what they can't do is they can't add a new item. That can't be added from the floor. You can amend an existing item up and down, but you cannot add something new that wasn't already in there.
We're gonna get our government, run the way we do, line item veto.
Yeah. So would you like to see the articles removed and add the Warva and the library and the food shelf into human services?
I think these people, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's my thought is that they've asked, they've showed, they've on, and to have to do it again is like.
Yeah, and I know Lisa has made that pitch multiple times. She doesn't like speaking in front of everybody. She does it, God bless her, every year, but she did say, could we just be part of the budget?
If they give us the documentation that we look for,
Yeah,
then we should suffice.
yeah.
I'd be happy.
Do you want to speak, Lisa, or are you just letting us know you're there?
Oh,
I just wanted to say, yeah, that for the last few years, we've talked about adding it to the budget and it's felt like it was okay at that point in time. And then it turns out that we're having the same discussion again. And I'm hearing what you're saying about the strategic plan. So I don't want you to think that I'm, that we're blowing that off. It's just a matter of finding someone knowledgeable in libraries who can help with that strategic planning. So nobody's deliberately blowing you off, but yeah. I would love it if it was included in the budget.
Okay.
And I think in the end, it would be good for the library and the town. I can't tell you in the last 3 years how many people have walked up to me and said, I didn't realize that the library wasn't a part of the town's budget, which part of me wanted to say, well, were you really reading your budget then? The other part of me is like, you know, they regard it as a part of the town. And it is a little hard, I admit, to sit here and feel like, how did the food shelf and the library become the bad guys? You know, it's a public library and it's a food shelf, which is a safety net for people who need it badly. And somehow in the throes of all this, we became the bad guys. And in an effort to support ourselves financially, we're talking about some numbers in reserve that feels like it's being counted against us. So it's just how it feels from this end.
Understand. So I think it looks like they want to add the food shelf, the library, Warva, just add them to the budget. Since the general fund budget's discussed anyways, line by line, it's makes sense. I mean, there's, you know, to call them out and you still can stand up if somebody has questions that the select board doesn't answer. You guys can still stand up and answer the question. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so you're thinking that'd be good. Okay.
Okay.
So it seems like.
If I could interject just for a second. So usually I get up at town meeting and talk about the human services side of it and answer questions and whatnot. So that would eliminate that option then. I wouldn't be doing that because it'll all be rolled into the budget.
Right.
I think you still have an opportunity if you want to have a comment on the general fund, then you can't be served. Even if you just want to talk about what you do, right? And there's no.
Yeah, no, because you're the one that reviewed everything. Your team is the ones that reviewed everything and it wasn't out in public at the select board, so that'd be more than welcome to get up there and say your spiel, Paul.
So you'd be removing 6 articles. Library, food shelf, Tri-Valley.
But I wouldn't have the ability or the desire, to be honest with you, to deal with the food shelf, to comment on the food shelf or the Warva or the library and whatnot. I would only be able to talk about the core group that our committee
Right.
deals with.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because your committee is the one that reviewed everything and you have all the paperwork. We have the stuff from the library and the food shelf and Warva and Tri-Valley, and then you have your human services thing. So I think it would still be great for you to stand up and let folks know how that goes.
Yeah, just as long as it was broken out as a, this is this committee's work as opposed to the
Correct.
library and the other ones.
Yep, that paper that you gave us,
Yep.
That would be what you could discuss.
It's in town report. It'll go in town report like that. So
Okay.
it moves
Thank
6
you.
articles into Article 2. So,
Okay,
More time for fun.
more time for pie.
got to get it before the meeting though, because it'll be gone after,
That's right.
guaranteed.
I will make those changes.
And if people want to sign up for pies, just talk to somebody at the town meeting committee because they're always looking for pies. I'll throw that in right now.
Put pants on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
She's waiting for your request.
Yeah, uh-huh.
All right, I'll get it in.
Okay.
So can I just ask a clarifying question? So this is now all going to be rolled in now? Is that
Yep.
what we're talking about?
Yeah, we're gonna roll it all into Article 2. So when we have the general fund budget discussion, it's all gonna be there. So if people have a question on the general fund, that's it. That's when they're gonna have to talk about any of the appropriations, what we spend on electricity, anything like that, that they would have to. So it would roll all of them. It's gonna remove 6 articles from the warning, and we'll roll them all into Article 2.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Folks will have access to the line item budget, so they.
It's in town report,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they read it. They'll see what we see.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that or we just all agreed? And
Nah, I'm good.
All right. So I think that brings us down to the town manager's report.
So we, just to let you know, so the office will close at noon on Christmas Eve. We're closed on Christmas, and then myself, Alice, and Pam are taking the day off after Christmas off, but obviously we're using leave time to do that. We're not getting paid to do that. I had hoped that the road crew would be able to do the same, but it sounds like we're getting a storm, so sorry, guys. Water payments, utility payments are due on the 26th, but people can mail them, drop them through the door, whatever. So that's still can happen.
Okay.
And yeah, other than that, I think we're good. Just getting my stuff ready for town report.
Okay.
Yes, you too.
The select board minutes of 12/8/25, are there any changes or anything that was missed?
Move to accept those minutes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then there's some other communications in your packet this month.
Yep, there's the November budget. I tried to, these are the budget status report, so I did make notes on it for you so that, maybe if you're looking for, why did we overspend training and the road crew, you can see that it was for greater training. If there's things that are the fire department, their labor gets paid once a year in December. So I do try to make notes alongside of it so that you can, if there's something that's over or under, maybe I've made a note for you, but if you have any questions, certainly let me know.
Yeah, and we have stuff from the Conservation Committee and from the Rec Committee, and there's also some paperwork in here about the roads and how that.
Yep, that is our annual winter road maintenance guideline, and I just had AJ look through it, so we updated that. It's been on the website for a long time, but we updated that. So I just thought you guys might like to see it in case you get calls at home. The bottom line is, if somebody calls you, that we do not have a bare roads policy. We have a safe roads policy. So get some winter tires and, you know,
Slow down.
drive
Yeah.
appropriately.
That's a
So-
state thing too, because Vermont does not have a bare roads policy as a state, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna.
Yeah, exactly. So, and, so just to be aware.
All right, any,
Ellie, I don't know if you want this information, but I just was reading and it says Lindsay reported that Babies does too. So I think it was supposed to be Dave's in your minutes. Your minutes.
What?
It says Babies and I think it was meant to be Babes.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted that. Okay.
do you know how much you raised from the bottle drive yet? Okay,
How much? I didn't know. I didn't heard. Oh, I was gonna say,
Okay.
did you do well? I know some people who are dropping off bottles, so that's
Right,
good.
we had 7,000 bottles,
Nice.
but we had to spare them.
Oh,
And so I know it was, I think, it was over 3 million. But I forget the exact.
oh, that's great.
all right. So any other business to come before the board?
Return. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?